Steve Evans, back to winning ways. You must be delighted with that.
Yeah, we were delighted with the performance overall. I think we started really well in the first 15. I think we should certainly be 3-0 ahead. I'm not going to say more, but we should certainly score 3 goals in the first 15 minutes. Obviously, they should equalise when the boy hits the crossbar. But always thought, with that going, we looked far superior. And I think that was demonstrated in the second half when we said we don't need to go out and score a goal in a minute, but we need to be better in possession. We need to keep the ball better. We need to create overloads of 2v1s. And I think in the second half it could have been anything, could it, in the second half? But this for me has always been a real difficult place to come. Obviously they're in between managers, which gives their players some uncertainty because they've got some really good players when you break it down. So for us it was a bit leaving Stevenage yesterday and coming back with something to show for our efforts, and we've got a good win. So we're pleased with that.
It caused you a few problems last 15 of the first half, didn't they? But you really looked after them in the second half and didn't really pose too much of a threat.
Well, I said to the players, we had that light bulb moment that this group is capable of. That light bulb is when the light bulb goes off and they'll start to run about in the dark and play for themselves rather than playing as a collective unit. And at times we had that last season. It was a different group, obviously some of the same people, but a different group. And we had it when we come up against certain teams and we wouldn't take those chances and kill games. Then people thought we were that comfortable in possession that we could do our own thing. That leads to then Cheltenham becoming the better side for us for 10-15 minutes before half time. Bit of pressure on, but our goalkeeper has made one save from their best player, for the boy Cheltenham. He's a brilliant striker. I thought he was still attentive today. We had to be wary of him today. And it was a great save from Christian that keeps us ahead at the interval. But I had every confidence going into the second half. I said, look, we're starting to have the cavalry on the bench now compared to previous weeks, and considering that Wilden, Van Kooten and Presley will all train on Monday, so they could have been included today. Press travelled, Luther Wilden travelled, but picked up a little virus, and like do with COVID, and I just didn't feel well, so we sent him home on the train this morning. Van Kooten has had a full week of training, have a full week next week. These are three top players for League One. I don't care what club they're talking about. So the competition to get in the starting team today was good. And I was really, really pleased I can name a lot of players who I think did really well. Finlay Birds continues to get better, but he's got that pedigree of Manchester City. But I was really pleased for Elliot List, who's had a long 15 months since the opening day of last season. And at times his head's been down and he's been disappointed and he's struggled to get there. But in the last week, 10 days, he scored a midweek in a closed-door game against Wimbledon. He was electric, he caused them all sorts of problems. He'd probably have been disappointed not to start. And but I was pleased for him when he came on and got the goals. So, yeah, it's a good day at the office for us.
Yeah, we're going to mention Elliot. He's had that time out and he's been a bit part player in the last few weeks, hasn't he? But Stevenage fans and us in the commentary we were delighted for him to get his 2 goals.
Yeah, you can see the reaction, particularly when he gets the first one. You see the reaction from the group. The reaction is just joy for him. I know it helps us take a 2-0 lead and I think then when he goes and gets the third one, I think everyone's go and get your hat-trick. And the wee man should have done, shouldn't he? If he'd have watched my finishing training last season, he'd have got a hat-trick. But he's a wonderful kid. I don't think there's any secrets that last pre-season he was that good. He'd have been in the Championship now on a 7-figure fee for the football club. He was that good. And the opening day was terrifying him. And then just innocently in the middle of the park, done his ACL. But he's back from that now. Today will give him lots and lots of confidence. But we're going to have some good competition. I thought Jamie Reid was really good today. Really good today. He does everything bar score, like he did last week. But we've got Jamie Reid, we've got young Charlie McNeil, we've got Listy, we've got Aaron Presley, we've got Jordan Roberts that can play up there, so we're really good. And another player I think that deserves special mention is Nick Freeman. He's played that right back, right wing back role. I've seen him many times out in the Championship for Wycombe. And he's come in here and he's played 2 or 3 times in that position. And Alan McDonald who's done it. And they've carried it out wonderfully.
We were looking at that back 3 today, Steve, and it looks like nothing's ever going to get past them. And Saturday wouldn't be Saturday without Pierre Gianni shedding some blood.
Yeah, he's a warrior. But I thought all 3 were good today. I thought it was good to see Dan Sweeney was really commanding. And the boy Rob Street's a handful. He's a young man out of Palace, but he's a real handful. And but I think the physicality of those 2, with Sweeney and Pierre Gianni. And then you've got the girl and the experience and the knowledge of Nathan Thompson, who is, I keep saying it, to be fair to their chairman, he turned down money from. We had him about 4 weeks, then a Championship club bid, Championship manager, was in Dubai, and we were trying to sign players, including Nathan. And he took that news that we wanted to keep him. He wanted to stay, in fairness to him. And he oozes absolute class for the level. And you have days when it's not so good. But I thought today he got around the big two boys when it mattered and control possession coming out. That's why we were so good in spells today. First 15, 20 minutes, not so good to half time. Second half, it was one way.
Big test next Saturday, Oxford at the Lamex.
Well, I think it's wonderful, isn't it? You know, the former League Cup winners, former Premier League or League One, they've gone and smashed somebody up. I think 3 or 4 today. They've invested new owners there. They've invested a huge amount of money. They brought a good manager in. Good manager. He's very unfortunate to have a little naughty spell, which every manager gets, and rather than sticking by him, there's a quick approach with some owners to move him on. But I think they've got a good manager. They bring a big support, so their way end will be full. Come on, Stevenage fans, we need a response like we had for Portsmouth at home, and we should have won that game. For Charlton, we know we should win the game, draw them both. But the one thing that sticks in my head that day was the atmosphere both times in the stadium. And we'll have that against Oxford next week. I can see the Stevenage supporters who didn't travel. It's wonderful, the ones that did travel. But I see the ones who didn't travel today, listening to the radio, listening to the commentary, having a buzz about themselves as they go for their Chinese or their meal out tonight or having a beer at home. And we'll go back to the training ground on Monday. We'll work really hard. We'll try and have another close-door game to make sure that we're getting players more minutes. That's, in midweek we had Elliot playing in that game, we had Ben Thompson playing in that game, we had Kane Hemmings playing in the game, we had Charlie McNeil playing in the game. So our view is that we need players ready and available and want to be in the first team in the competition. Paul and Rev's just addressed it and just said the competition to get into the starting team is getting where we need it to be. And this is a tough league. We don't kid ourselves. Every time we get a point or every time we get 3, people around the country are just, when we drew a couple of games, I had one head coach tell someone that was Stevenage finding the rightful place, that we'd drawn with Charlton. It's Charlton Athletic. It's Portsmouth. So from our point of view, as a management team, we do not forget the might of some of those clubs in this league, and we'll be respectful and humble to your Cheltenhams as they are. Well, what's the difference of Cheltenham and Stevenage? Very similar clubs, very, very similarly run in a very controlled fashion. And this football club, for me, Cheltenham, has been a hard ground for me in the past, whatever team I've come with. And I've always looked upon it as a club that's well run with good people. I seen some family last night who live in Cheltenham who come and seen us at the team hotel. And so from that point of view, that's their problems. My problem is to try and shape and get things right for next Saturday at Lamex. Come on, get down to Lamex and get your tickets. We need everyone to come and help us.
Great work today, Steve. Well done.
Thank you.